There's an old joke that you can't see air, but you can feel its effects, usually when it's bad. But in recent years, something remarkable has happened in some of the world's most polluted cities. The air has gotten cleaner. Not perfectly clean, but cleaner enough to make a measurable difference, not just in lungs and life expectancy, but in something more elusive and surprising: the brain. Public health experts are now building a compelling case that improving air quality can slow cognitive aging and even reduce the risk of dementia. That's right, environmental policy, the kind of thing people usually yawn through on news broadcasts, might actually be one of the most powerful brain health interventions we've got. The logic is simple and increasingly supported by science. If pollution accelerates neuroinflammation, impairs memory, and promotes the biological hallmarks of Alzheimer's disease, then cutting pollution should, in theory, ease that burden. What's more impressive is that this theory now has real-world data to back it up. One of the most striking examples comes from a 2020 study tracking cognitive health among older women in the United States over a 10-year period. Researchers found that women living in areas with the greatest declines in PM 2.5 and NO2 levels showed significantly slower cognitive decline than those living in places where air quality didn't improve. The difference was not trivial. It amounted to brains that functioned, on average, as if they were 1 to 2 years younger. That may not sound like a miracle cure, but when you're trying to hold on to precious memory, decision-making ability, and independence, 2 extra years of sharper thinking is a gift. Especially if all it took was fewer cars belching fumes outside your window. Another large-scale study from California found that dementia rates dropped significantly in regions where regulatory efforts had successfully reduced vehicle emissions and industrial pollutants. These findings were particularly strong among urban populations, those most likely to benefit from aggressive environmental controls like smog limits, cleaner fuels, and emissions testing. In Los Angeles, where the skies have visibly cleared in the past few decades, researchers have started to see corresponding improvements in cognitive health metrics among aging residents. Not huge leaps, but steady, statistically meaningful gains that correlate with better air. This doesn't mean you can stop exercising or start inhaling essential oils and call it brain care. But it does mean that the invisible stuff around us, the ambient environment we often ignore, matters more than we ever gave it credit for. Cleaner air reduces the amount of neurotoxic particles entering the body, lowers systemic inflammation, and protects the integrity of the blood-brain barrier. It leads to better sleep, reduced vascular strain, and fewer oxidative stress events in brain cells. It's not a stretch to say that clean air acts like a giant, society-wide cognitive protective factor. The benefits also appear to be cumulative. People who have lived in cleaner environments for longer periods show greater preservation of brain function than those who've experienced only short-term improvements. This suggests that early and sustained reductions in exposure may offer the most protection, raising the tantalizing possibility that smart environmental policy could extend not just lifespan, but brain span. Cleaner air could mean fewer people slipping into early cognitive decline, fewer families watching their loved ones disappear into dementia, fewer billions spent on memory care, and more people remaining independent longer into old age. But this is no reason to become complacent. The gains we've seen in air quality and in brain health are fragile. They can be reversed by deregulation, increased fossil fuel use, or the rise of new pollutants like microplastics and airborne nanoparticles that aren't even fully understood yet. In many cities, improvements in air quality have stalled or even begun to backslide due to economic growth, lax enforcement, or climate-induced changes like wildfire smoke. Progress is not guaranteed. It's something we have to actively protect. In a sense, the conversation about cognitive aging is shifting. It's not just about personal responsibility anymore. Yes, we should exercise, eat well, and stay mentally active, but those things only go so far when your neighborhood is wrapped in a film of invisible neurotoxins. Cognitive health is also a question of environmental justice, urban planning, and political will. It's about where the bus routes go, what fuels the power grid, and who gets to live near green space versus a freeway. The air we breathe shapes our brains more than we realized. And now we know that cleaner air can help preserve those brains well into old age. If dementia risk can be dialed down not just by pills or puzzles, but by smarter policy and cleaner skies, then the solution may be floating all around us, hidden in the breeze, waiting to be protected.